Okay, guys, we are live. Welcome, welcome. This is our weekly Team Vibe Team Fit for Life call. My name is Corey Miller, and today is Thursday, May 26th already. I can't believe it's almost June. This is crazy, crazy, crazy. My kids are out of school tomorrow, so my world will change next week. I don't know, all the parents out there probably get that. But I'm super excited for our call today. We actually have a power couple, I call them, on the call, Carolyn and Ryan, and the topic of today's call is better together. And the reason I wanted to ask them on the call is because they just get it. They get the business. They get the fact of working together is always going to be more powerful than not working together, even if it's not with your spouse, but with a success partner or just someone to hold you accountable. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about them because they're going to tell about their coaching story, but I'm super thankful to have them on. I know they are from Canada, and I had the opportunity to get to really talk to them in Miami at Janelle's Success Retreat. So it's an honor to have you guys on. So I'm going to hand it over to you and mute myself so you don't have to listen to me anymore. So here we go, you guys.
Thanks, Corey.
Well, thank you so much. Well, we're completely and utterly honored to be here with you today. It was just a joy to be invited, and we're looking forward to sharing with you what we can. So yeah, a little bit about us. I'm Ryan.
I'm Carolyn.
And yes, we are indeed from Canada. Very polite of us. From Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm a 3-star diamond coach, and Carolyn's a 1-star diamond coach. And we have been coaching in Canada since the opportunity became available. And that was in October of 2012. I'm just going to rewind a little bit and tell you just a little bit about our background and how we became fit again and how then we became coaches. So our story actually begins 6 years ago. I'm an actor. I run a theater company in town and I do shows. And it was actually specifically one night I was doing a show, and it was closing night, and I was taking my costume off in the dressing room, and I caught a glimpse of somebody in the mirror who I absolutely didn't recognize. And I kind of looked around to see who was in the room with me, and it was me. I was really overweight, and all at that time, everything started to fall on. I realized at that point I was depressed. I was barely holding on. Carolyn and I just had a fresh, brand new 18-month-old in the house, along with our 5-year-old, 2 little lovely girls. And it all came crashing down at that moment where I realized we were kind of struggling. We were struggling to connect with each other. We were struggling to be the people we wanted to be. We were missing elements in our life, and we basically were falling into really bad habits. A lot of those bad habits were based around, we were basically just trying to get by, get the kids to school, get the kids to classes, get ourselves to work. We both work in the not-for-profit sector, which means a lot of long hours for very little do-re-mi, if you know what I'm saying. But we were barely holding on, and our marriage was actually taking a big-time back burner. We would spend, the day just getting by, and then we would get into bed together, and we would turn on the TV, eat Kit Kat bites and Pringles, and watch Lost. That's what we did.
And it was like the biggest reward, like every single night.
Every single night, the reward.
Like, yay, we made it.
We made it. Let's Pringle chips. Let's Kit Kat bites. And then the TV show Lost actually became the theme of our lives. We were
so addicted to that show.
Yeah, we were just lost. So anyway, going back to when I had that moment in the mirror and I realized something needed to be done, but I had no idea what. All I knew at that point was many years ago, I had been fit at one point and I felt really good. So I thought maybe that would be an opportunity to take that journey again. So I came home to Carolyn and I said to her, hey, what do you think about getting a New Year's resolution and getting healthy again? And Carolyn said, no, I don't really think much about that at all.
Nope.
And I said, well, this is how I'm feeling.
I don't know. Has anybody's husband ever said that to them? Like, hey, do you want to lose some weight together? I don't know. That doesn't always come in the most
generous of ways, but it really was. Honestly, it was coming from a very generous place because it was coming from what I needed to do. So she said, I'm not really into that. And I said, well, guess what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to join a boot camp. And I'm going to join it on January 2nd. And she was like, so soon? Like, you're just going to do it? And yes, it just so happened that I was going to do it.
Yeah.
So we tried, and it was something that Carolyn kind of slowly got on board with, and we went to boot camps, and we had a treadmill. I mean, the treadmill ended up being the place where we dried our clothes most of the time rather than actually worked on it. But what I was finding with going to classes or boot camps is it wasn't fitting our lifestyle at all. If anybody knows Canada in January, you know that it's like minus 35 degrees Celsius. So going on the highway and getting to a class in a blizzard or a snowstorm is not really, your ideal of situations. So getting to class was always a hassle, and then being away from the kids when the kids needed attention and being put to bed, or just needed that time you want to spend with your kids. So it ended up not really fitting very well. So fast forward, we were going to do another show with my theater company, and it was going to be a very physically active show. And a friend of mine said, well, we better do the P90X thing. And I said, well, what's PX90? What's that about? I have no idea. She said, it's this program. So I whipped off to the local Staples, and I picked up a copy, and I plugged it into the DVD player, and I turned it on, and I got it. I understood. Not from that me and Tony connected in a way from screen to myself in my basement, from his motto of do your best and forget the rest really rang true. But it clicked with me that this would work. I can do this program when I want to do this program. I'm going to be told what to do, how to do it, how to eat, how to get results, and be successful at it. So fast forwarding through a P90X program, I lost, around that program, I lost about 50 pounds and was well on my way. Carolyn was doing her own little bits at that time, trying to fill in the gaps here and there. She went to a few classes, and we were balancing the life between kids and household duties and work as well. But she was looking for that little spark that I had with P90X. Yeah. And it was very soon that Turbo Fire was released, and boom, she June of 2010. Yeah. And she became a turbo girl at that point. And she basically then had what I had, and that's that kind of fully packed up program that you were going to get results from. So she basically had an amazing transformation with Turbo Fire as well, where she lost 20 pounds or so as well. Yeah. So basically also we were excited about our new life. Things were starting to fall into place. We were getting connected more and more. Things were becoming awesome again. And then we saw those little videos at the end that would be like, you got to be a coach and you got to come to Summit. And we were like, well, let's go to Summit. And so we investigated that and realized that Canadians weren't allowed to go to summits. And we were like, okay.
Well, we could go. We just couldn't go as coaches.
We couldn't go as coaches. Yeah, you could go, but it was just like, why would you go? And the coaching opportunity wasn't available. So we thought, well, we'll just put that on the back burner and hopefully it will become available to us. And in that time, we were inspiring others and inspiring our friends, and people were wondering what we were doing. So we were naturally coaching. Then when the opportunity became available, Carolyn saw a post from Janelle Summers, our upline, on Facebook saying the coaching opportunity is coming in Canada. Who wants to get on board? And Carolyn was like, let's make it happen. So basically, right when it became available, we signed up and we became coaches. And we had no idea what that meant. Not a clue. No clue whatsoever. We just know we wanted to be aligned with a company that had done so much for us. So we set up our first Getting Started Right call with Janelle. Great call where she told us basically what you want to do is you want to hit Success Club 5 and you want to run challenge groups. So we did that, and we
really good Canadians.
Really good Canadians. We were like, tell us what to do, and we're like, yes, we'll do that.
And so we focused on that for a really long time.
A really long time was just basically focusing on Success Club points and running challenge groups. More so to the point that even to this day, Carolyn and I are both Success Club legend all-stars, because from day one, from month one, that's what we focused on completely.
So what I wanted to just go back on a little bit is really the foundation of our story, and I'm sure that many of you have a similar journey in yourself, maybe not always as a couple, but and because Ryan's story sort of anchors it, I realized recently that I do have a story in all of this too, and it's really fundamental to our relationship. And so just to be respectful of time today, and not to do a shameless plug, but on GameChangersYYC.com. No, Game Changers YYC on Facebook is a video pinned to the top, which is sort of my reflection on that story. So I don't want to rehash the whole thing, but it came down to more, it sort of looks more at really where our relationship was. So, you know, in a lot of relationships, there are certain things that will take you out of where you're at. And for us, it was also therapy. It was also fitness, but a choice together to make change. And it meshed and it worked for us. And that's really, as Ryan said, it set the stage for everything that was to come. And that's really why Beachbody was so appealing to us. But once we started working the business, I don't think we really realized until we started preparing for this call. So we're very grateful for this opportunity to share with you. It gives us opportunity to reflect on, sometimes in this business, I don't know about you, but we get so laser focused on the goals ahead and seeing the other achievements that other people are making that we actually miss some of the biggest moments for us in our lives that impact our family. And, you know, maybe even things that you can be sharing with, if your situation is not like Ryan and I, that you can share with your spouse, and maybe they're even missing too. Things like, you know, as Ryan said, we didn't blow up very fast in this business, and so we're still working every day on our businesses. I'm a 1-star, Ryan's a 3-star. We're not 6-figure earners. We are just loving what this business brings to our business, and I'll tell you why. But we worked in the not-for-profit sector. We lived a very simple means, and we never traveled at all, you guys. I mean, for the first 13 years of our marriage, even after we had kids, we didn't go anywhere. Ryan
that was because we couldn't afford it. Being in the not-for-profit sector means you work really long hours for very little money, because we both kind of followed our passions into those directions.
Yes. So, yeah, we never traveled. Ryan's from a small town called Moose Jaw in Saskatchewan. Yes, great Canadian name.
Called Moose Jaw.
Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And so we would travel there to visit family, but we didn't go anywhere. We had opportunities and never went. In the first year of working our business, just having that residual income from Beachbody, we were able to take our kids on a dream vacation to Disneyland. And sometimes we forget how powerful that was for us, that we were able just to afford in that year, taking them to Disneyland together. And like I said, sometimes we forget. So, you know, I challenge you, think about those little wins to the big wins that you're having in this business, because that was monumental. We surprised our kids with like the all bells and whistle trip to Disneyland in the first year. By the end of our first year, October to October, we were able to take them there. We were able to take our kids out of daycare, meaning that Ryan's schedule as an actor is flexible, but he had to take extra gigs at night or on the weekends or during the summer to help afford to make up for the money that we weren't making. And anyway, so he was able to take take our kids out of daycare. They were allowed to stay home in the summers with him, and after school, he was home with them. That meant no summer job for Ryan, so he was able to stay home with the girls and not have to offset his acting career with manual labor, which he really doesn't like. And this past November, I was able to go full-time as a Beachbody coach. And so the caveat I want to make with that as well is this last 6 months as coaches together has allowed us to create structure in our business. And I'm sure Corey's told you and your coach has told you, you know, you have to run this business like a business. And I think that we were just kind of going and we thought we were running it like a business. But what this has done is it really pushed our backs up against the wall to get organized. And it's been a real turning point because we are running it like a business for ourselves, as individuals and as a couple, obviously, but not by ourselves. And so I realized in looking back for a long time that I used my day job as an excuse as to why I couldn't move my Beachbody business forward in the time that I was provided every single day. Every single morning I got up early to work my business, but I was missing some of those critical core behaviors. And in doing that, I was working my business, but not to its full potential in the time that I had. So, you know, I just think that for some of us, if you're still working your day job and you really want this opportunity, it's there for you. And like they say, in an hour a day, you can build a strong foundation. I just warn people about that because now that I'm standing here, I'm like, what was I thinking? Anyway, so I believe that we might have experienced things differently, but by no means do we have any regrets because this is an incredible journey. And I just also wanted to say that I don't think that because Ryan and I run our business together, I understand not everybody has that support at home. Not everybody has a husband or a sister or a mom who works the business alongside with them, that it's easier to be a couple in this business. Being married to your upline or your downline who's actually working a business comes with wins and challenges. And we're going to talk about a few of those, highs and lows. But most of all, what we think is that that a way that we can relate with you, if you're not in the same position as we are, is that it identifies why accountability and success partners are so important. And, you know, even if you don't have this accountability at home, that you can, even with an assistant or an accountability partner or 2 or 3, that you can provide the same kind of support for yourself, even for yourself if you need to, if you don't have those things in play. So we invite you to get out your pens and paper, take notes, because there's maybe something in our story that will inspire you to look at where you're at and how you can include those things in your life, even if you don't have them. So Ryan's going to start talking about the very first, what we think vital aspect that we've learned about is communication.
Communication, yes. And I just wanted to go back just quickly before that, because like Carolyn said, we've always followed our passion before that. And when Carolyn and I made the choice for Carolyn to come home from work to focus on her Beachbody business, it didn't matter to me if it was the Beachbody business or if she wanted to be a grocery bagger. I'm her husband, and I'm going to support her in whatever she wants to do, because that's what a couple does for each other. And how we had that and came to that decision was with point number one, communication. Yeah. Like with any relationship, with your husband, with your wife, with your work partners, communication is essential. And one of the key things that we were working on before we made this leap to be full-time coaches at home together was learning how to communicate with each other. And that is one of the big things, because sometimes you can, as you know, we all know, you can miss each other because you're saying one thing and she's saying another.
And I'm always right.
And she's always right. And I'm always trying to figure out why I'm not. But we were trying to figure out why sometimes we would miss each other. So there was a color code test that went through the Beachbody system for a while there that did it was amazing, because we basically both took that test to figure out what personality traits that we had in regards to our dynamic with working with each other. Yeah. And we came from that, is what we discovered was I'm a yellow and Carolyn's a blue, which is kind of like this on the scale of, like, they don't really match up really well. I wrote a couple of notes about what they are just quickly. Like a blue, for instance, is like a do-gooder. They're a perfectionist. They like to examine the small details and fret about them.
That sounds really negative.
No, it does, but they can appear unemotional at times, but they like order and structure. Where, think of it this way, with the yellow, I'm more kind of easygoing. I'm kind of like shoot with the wind, happy-go-lucky. Hey, are we going to do that? Let's do that. It's kind of spur of the moment for a yellow. So for a blue and a yellow to figure out their dynamic together is to understand how you come together. So if Carolyn's saying we need to focus on this, this, and this, and I'm like, well, why should we do that? It's not due till next week. We have to come together to have an understanding with communication and work together. So we're bringing those elements of support to what the other needs at any given time. And that's not even only with work structure, but that's with communication, with when it comes to our personal life, with our family life, with everything. So what we did is we basically took time to focus on what our strengths were and what our weaknesses were, and to help ourselves kind of build a balance between the two of them. And we constantly now communicate, because it is better though, because it is the foundation for everything. We also had to take a moment. I can't remember who gave us these two terms.
Shay Stanford was
here for a Super Saturday, and she used the term cheerleader and teacher, and to decide which one you are, or where you fill in where that strikes for you. And what we basically had to come down through is look at what the cheerleader meant. Are you that person who, say, in your challenge group is going to be the, yeah, okay, let's go, hit the day running, we're going to get that nutrition in and we're going to do that workout, woohoo! And the teacher is going to come in and go, okay, but look, this is what you want to be filling your day with in regards to your nutrition. You want to make sure you're this. And basically having those elements of teaching as well as cheerleading. And what we both realized about ourselves is we needed to inhabit both of those in order to find a balance between the two. Because that comes with not only working as a couple, with our children, with each other, but it also comes with when we build our teams. Yeah. Nobody can just be the rah, rah, here we go, with no structure or no element of everyone can go, yes, let's get on board. But what do we do? Yeah. You know, there needs to be that element as well. So we always adapt the element of who's the cheerleader and who's the teacher, and how we can combine those together.
And I was going to say, I think that's a good point too. If you're working with an accountability or a success partner, if you're running teams or groups together, sometimes that you know, it is deciding or knowing that you're working with somebody and that you're balancing out those two pieces. Exactly like in a challenge group, that you've got one person you're working with, one of those coaches is the cheerleader, and you've got that balance with the other person that's the teacher, to make sure that you're providing all of that for your team. So I thought that was relevant as well.
And one of the small little points that we just want to bring up as well is, well, we're married. We're also business partners.
Yeah.
Sometimes the personal can affect the professional, because believe it or not, sometimes we fight. But the problem is when that fight gets to a point where it's actually quite heated.
Or really bad timing.
Or really bad timing, say for instance. Like at Summit, and you have your whole team with you, and it's the morning workout, and you guys are in a basically huge battle with each other. You have to find that balance where the personal needs to be put aside and checked at the door, and put that professional hat on. Like, I mean, say for instance, even preparing for this call, which went very smoothly as well. It went very smoothly, but we always have to make sure we are running this business together. So it's like with anything, the personal can affect the professional. So with that being said, we've become a lot better at ending those arguments quicker through the communication, because in order to work together in this business, in your personal life, with your family, with your kids, with the day-to-day stuff, if you're not having that communication, you're not going to keep those wheels moving.
Right.
Right.
Sorry, it just made me think. Yeah, I think it's about that last fight we had. It was just like, oh yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I was just thinking about how that transcends, because it's fair to say, you know, we have to communicate better. But that really has been something that's come over time. And like I said, it's through highs and lows. It's wins and challenges and learning as we've gone. You know, there's other coaches who've teamed up in this business, husband and wife, reflecting and listening to the calls that they have done to talk about how they've worked through those challenges and how they communicate. And it hasn't always started on the same path that Ryan and I did. So I know that communication can be it's one of the hugest challenges in relationships. And we don't have it right all the time. And we continue to really focus on that area. And I think in terms of support, just like any accountability partner you have, that's where it all starts. Mm-hmm. So I think one thing that people are curious about when it comes down to accountability partners or success partners or couples that work together is how we run our business. And in doing this, I said earlier that Ryan and I have done this for so long on our own or together that we don't really know how it looks any other way. So how we break down the business activities may be curious to other people, just like I'm curious how coaches who do it on their own do it. So one thing the term we use a lot is tag teaming. We work our strengths and support the other's weaknesses. So for example, if we're preparing, like my background is in communications. So I'm savvy with blogging, or, setting up a blog post or setting up a Facebook post, or, working the back end and setting up ads. And Ryan is learning those things for himself as well. But what we'll do is we'll sit down at the table and we'll be like, okay, we got to do a blog post. So let's say Ryan wrote the blog post. I will put it into WordPress. He'll source the pictures. I'll move over to Canva. I'll take the picture and I'll put it in and add the pretty, words to it. And so, and then maybe while I'm setting up the email that needs to go out with the blog, he's doing a post in the team page that talks about the next team call. So that because we also, as you all know, you have to dedicate time to your team, but you also have your own businesses to run. So we're not each other's assistants. I never act as Ryan. I never go in and do any business for him on his behalf. I don't work with his coaches and he doesn't work with mine, although we do a lot of team-related activities together. We work our own businesses. There have been the rare times where maybe you shared a success point with me, like just a client that we were working with or somebody. Maybe. But what we realized was, and we've never built for each other. Like I've never put a coach under Ryan. He's never built under me. No, and I know a lot of coaches do that, but because we're both working the business, we realized that by helping each other out, like if it's the end of the month and Ryan's like Success Club 12 and I'm at Success Club 5, that, it's more a reflection on work that I need to do in my business than if he hands that over to me. It's not really helping our businesses respectively grow. So we do hold each other's feet to the fire, and with our personal goals, there is something to be said about having you're going to talk about accountability partners?
Yes.
About accountability, because there is that thing in a relationship where you're trying to keep each other accountable. It's just a bit more difficult or easier to let your husband off the hook or your wife off the hook or your partner off the hook because there's just other different marital reasons why you just don't want to be too hardcore, but you'll talk more about that. So we bounce ideas off of each other. There's constant conversation about, recommendations for programs, all the way to Facebook posts, to how to help our coaches, which can become at times, talking about highs and lows, can become a lot when your success partner is in the room with you all the time. Talk to our kids. They're just like, beach buddy, beach buddy, beach buddy. I'm like, beach buddy got you to Disneyland.
Yeah, beach buddy took you to Disneyland twice. So there. Another point we want to talk about is just that is the accountability and the consistency. We hear it all the time in this business, that word consistency, but it's so very true. With our workouts, we have to be consistent in order to get results. With our business, we need to be consistent in order to get those results. And it's just very fortunate that we have in-home accountability, but that's because we work the business, together as well. But we are always checking in with each other daily. We check in with each other and hold each other's feet to the fire with our vital behaviors specifically, because it's the vital behaviors that are always going to kind of ground you and bring you back when you start taking too much of a wide scope. We narrow it back in. A good example is last night around 8 o'clock, Carolyn came to me. She says, I haven't done my power hour yet. And I said, well, I'll put the kids to bed because you need to do that power hour. That's a non-negotiable. Like, that's just something that you have to do. It's not a matter of, oh, I'll skip it today. It's like, no, it has to be done. So like I said, there's that give and take and that balance and support, because I understand where her goals are in this business. We communicate them all the time with each other. And I know if she's not going to put that time in, that's just going to be a step further. She's going to be away from those goals. We also have our own book that we've created. It's like a workbook that's based on the business activity tracker, or the BAT, that we've put together for each other, that basically lists that power hour out, your Facebook posts, and everything that we keep ourselves in check with daily. And like Carolyn said, we tag team. Also, we kind of moved some stuff in the house, but you will also see that our house is not decorated with fine art. It's decorated with fine sticky tabs and giant sticky notes. And what those are our brainstorming sessions where we write down the topics we want to discuss on this call specifically. We have a call tonight for our team as well that we've written all of our things down. We've got our goals for the month. We've got little sticky notes all over mirrors that say, these are my 6-month goals. This are my this. Our house is decorated.
I'm sure the kids that come over to visit are just like,
yeah, the kids that come over to play is just like, what is going on? What is 5-star qualifying by that? What does that mean? Anyway, but we hold each other accountable that way because we support each other in this business. We allow each other the freedom to be able to, this is what I need in order to feel successful. So that is what we allow each other the time to give to each other. For instance, we now, because we're home together, we get to work out together, which has been awesome. So we work out every morning before the kids come to get up. Usually we're up early, checking into the challenge groups, getting that start on that power hour. And then we do that workout before the kids get up. And we tag team. I'm good at making the shakes. I'm good at cooking. And so I get the shake ready while Carolyn gets the war room ready for the workouts, and kind of we always balance and we're always working together. So when the kids get up, our time can be focused completely on them and getting them out the door. And like I said, we always come back to our 4 vitals. Our world revolves around the 4 vitals, with making sure that we hold each other accountable to that, just like an accountability partner would do the same for you.
So the last thing we wanted to talk about really was, so with all of that, right, with it being so, well, that's the word I'm going to say, permeate our life. It's like, it's here. Like, we can't, our work, our job is in our kitchen. We live in a very small home. We don't have a separate office. It's a goal one day, but right now our world is in our kitchen in terms of our family life, our business. It's always present. And one of the things that we've learned, we are learning to get better at, even over the past 6 months, is time management and balance. So we've got, you can't see them, but there's 2 calendars in our kitchen where the kids used to have their artwork. But their artwork is here too now.
They have their artwork section.
They have their artwork section. But we have 2 calendars. One is, and we meet once per month with the family calendar and the business calendars in front of us. And we make sure that we map out all the family priorities, all the kids' school priorities, and our business priorities and our team priorities, so that we are not overlapping, and we're at our kids' events, we're at all those things that need, and be present with them, and as well that we're not missing anything in terms of business. So we meet once a month to talk about that stuff, set it in motion. Then at least a couple of times a week, or at least once, discussing the week ahead, both again, team and family stuff. We sit down, we look over it. And then the mornings, there's a natural check-in that we do to talk about the daily schedule and priorities. both family and business, so that we are, again, not overlapping with our kids, that we're respecting each other's times, because Ryan's priorities are not always my priorities. And that's where things can become very, not heated, but they can get conflicting if my priorities are like, well, I think we're doing this and he thinks we're doing something else, or, you know, he's not at Success Club yet and I am, and maybe there's a different focus on the day. So we're learning to get better at that for sure. We make sure that we schedule date days with both of our daughters throughout the month. At least twice a month they have a date with each of us respectively. Separately and together. That we have date nights with each other that are non-negotiable. And yes, we talk a lot about Beachbody all the time, but it's also a chance, again, for us to check in and talk about our kids, to get outside of the house, to enjoy a meal together, to enjoy each other's company, to get dressed up because we're in, you know, our fit wear all day long, and that we can feel special and celebrate the achievements of the week with each other. And it's very important. And so, you know, that time management is, Ryan talked about how we schedule our time and how we tag team, and our days are spent working Beachbody until the kids come home, focusing on our own businesses, and then our teamwork in the afternoon. So that's what we wanted to share with you. As we wrap up, we just want to say a lot of this has been an evolution. Ryan and I certainly aren't perfect. We're learning as we move forward, and that's the beauty of the business, is that it allows that. And I know that we all come to this business with a different perspective, with a different context, and we look back now to see how far we've come, and we can celebrate those moments. So we're really thankful for this opportunity to share that with you. And one of the things that we've really come to focus on in the last 6 months that we've been together is it's an old platitude, I guess, but failing to plan is planning to fail. And that just is in with everything we do, with our business, with our family, with each other, with making sure we're taking the time to make sure that we are on the same page with each other. What she doesn't know, she won't know. What I don't know, I won't know. So we always made sure that communication, those lines of communication, are always open. Our team motto has always been, alone we are strong, but together we are stronger. And that's what we firmly believe in our house, with our team members, with an accountability partner, because sometimes this business, I'm going off the cuff here, can be a downer, can get you down. It can be. There's really high highs and there's really low lows in this business. And the good thing between us of having that accountability partner in our house is when somebody's low, there's usually a good time that the other person's high. And so you can coach each other up and build each other back to that and reignite that fire that we all have for this business. Why you're on this call right now is because you're curious, because you're wildly curious and always wondering and always wanting to get better. So with that being said, thank you so much for allowing us to come into your homes today. Thank you for being in our home. Our kitchen. And it was just an absolute pleasure being able to share our journey with you. And hopefully you took a little something out of there that you can apply to your own life. Thank you, Corey. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I know that I personally took a ton of notes. I mean, I adore you guys. You guys, just so amazing. I love that you touched on communication. I seriously was laughing so hard and like nodding my head. Can you guys see me when I'm on here?
Oh, so just like shadow. Yeah.
I was like laughing. I'm nodding my head. I'm like, yes. And so many things that you said. I didn't know if you could see me or not. Now I got to remember that when I'm on these calls. But would you guys say what is the website? Was it GameChangersYYC.com? Is that what it was?
That's our website.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So that's our website, GameChangersYYC.com. And then on Facebook, it's Game Changers YYC.
Okay, perfect. So you guys definitely check that out. I loved how you talked about the cheerleader versus the teacher, because finding that balance, I think, is key in trying to lead a team. And, you know, we're coming off our Myrtle Beach success retreat, and we had Joe Corden. It was awesome. It was super fun. But we had Joe from corporate there, and he talked a lot about balance in your business. And I love that you guys talked about, listen, yes, you have to lead your team, but you also have to grow your business. That is so important in doing that. You just can't let your business go.
Yeah.
No, not at all, for sure.
But gosh, so many great points, you guys. And like I said, I completely adore you. If you guys are watching this call right now from Team Vibe Team Fit for Life, please get your spouse on there, your accountability partner, like you said, your sister, your mom, whoever it is, to watch this too, because I love the fact that you guys had said, listen, we work our businesses separately. You know, we're both working our businesses, and that may not be the case for everybody that's listening to this call. But say your motto one more time at the end.
Alone we are strong, but together we are stronger.
That is perfect. Perfect. I think that's the perfect thing to end with. Perfect thing to end with. But thank you guys so much. I am honored that you're on this call. I completely appreciate it. It was awesome. So thank you. Hopefully you guys have watched or are listening to the recording, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Corey.
Bye.